Hello everyone. To begin with, I must say that I'm delighted and I'm completely honored to be here on this particular platform, to speak on this particular platform, which is the Smart Power Talks organized by Institute of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, in association with Smart Society, United States of America. It also gives people like us a very nice opportunity to talk their heart out, which we do not always get to do because we are always, most of the times we are confined by constraints because most of the times we actually interact through social media. The whole idea is called Smart Talks. I do not really know, and it also says inspiration personified. So we are dealing with two very keywords here. One is smart and the other is inspiration. I would like to play on these two words to begin with a little bit because I really don't know how much inspiration I'll be able to impart or provide. I'm 37 years old, I'll be 38 this year. I have done a fair amount of work in my life so far. Some have been extremely successful, some, well, not so successful. So there is no particular time when you can actually consider yourself a winner. There are these small moments every day when you feel like a winner. There are these small moments every day when you feel like a loser. There are these small moments, tiny little moments every day at which you feel that, okay, you know, this is going to be the beginning of the rest of my life. To talk about myself, I am Parambrata Chatterjee. To begin with, I should introduce myself. I happen to be an actor, a filmmaker, and a producer working primarily in the field of Bengali cinema, Bengali Indian cinema. So I would like to ponder on this particular word called smart to begin with again. Now that I'm done pondering upon inspiration, I will like to play with this idea called smart because that is the last thing that I was as a kid. So I remember my grandmother once telling me, once I started working as an actor and I received a reasonable amount of acclaim, my grandmother once told me that, we never could think that of all people, you will become an actor, or you will be actually foraying into the world of, showbiz, as they call it. Because I used to be this gawky, scrawny, really shy kid. I used to be a stutterer. No, sorry, I'll correct myself here. I wasn't a stutterer, I was a stammerer. There's a difference. Stutterer is a physiological condition, stammerer is a psychological condition, I believe. I used to stammer quite a lot as a kid. And so when I started acting, that was much later, which was only when I was 19 or something. Before that, from the time that I was, I would say, from the time that I was 10 or 11 to till about I was 16, these 5-6 years, I was the most awkward kid you would find in the room. Yes, I probably was a reasonably sensitive child who was reasonably good in studies, never stood first in class or anything, but always amongst the top 10. I was fairly good in music. I used to love music. I still do. I was a reasonably good singer, but very shy to sing in public domains, public spaces. Yeah, I used to dabble with all kinds of creative stuff, and all my teachers used to say at the parent-teachers meeting to my parents that, this boy, he can do so much better than what he does right now. He has got so much potential. We see that, but he just doesn't project himself enough. And I was fairly all right with that. I was never really, and my parents too. I'll come to my parents later, but yeah, I was quite okay with that. I was happy the way in my own space. I lived in a little bubble. I had a little bubble of myself where I could just talk to myself, where I had my own games, which nobody would play with me. Nobody would even hear of, actually. So I grew up with working parents. Both my parents worked, and I spent a lot of time at my uncle's or else alone at home. So I had it figured out how to keep myself entertained. But the moment I stepped out of the house and the moment I had to be in a public space, I was the most awkward kid, as I said. I was very shy. I didn't want to talk. I would like to observe. I also looked like a little girl. That was also very important. So one interesting anecdote would be that when I was in the 8th standard, I changed schools. Because there were some issues with the affiliation of the school that I was going to. So my parents got all very freaked out. They started freaking out, and they wanted to shift my school, change my school, and I shifted boards from the high secondary board in West Bengal board. I moved to sorry, the other way around. From the ICSE board, I moved to the West Bengal board, which was already quite a big sea change for me. And also, I was going to a school where I'd been going since I was 2, and it was a very protected sort of an environment that was there in that particular school. And I really enjoyed that. Every class had about, at the most, 40-45 children. We grew up in a very free, democratic atmosphere where music and all the other arts were given equal importance, if not more, than what was given to studies per se. And from that sort of an atmosphere, I moved to a school which was a very regular mainstream high secondary board, West Bengal board school, where there were 5 sections for every class. Every section had about 50 students. So in total, all the 5 sections together, there were 250 boys and girls studying, and 3 of them were Bengali mediums, 2 were English mediums. And the boys, when I moved there, I didn't even have facial hair, and almost all of my classmates, they're already shaving regularly. So I was completely like, I was berserked, if there's a word called berserk. That's what I was. And a lot of my friends in class, they actually thought that this is a girl who has joined our class, who has just, fancied herself in boys' clothes. So that is the reason why he's wearing trousers and a school shirt. But it's actually a girl, really. That's what they thought. So that is what I was. And when acting happened, I was in the 12th standard, just preparing for my high secondary exams, my final boards, and I don't even know how it happened and how it became such an intrinsic part of my life, and later on, very soon actually, my livelihood. See, this is the beautiful thing about life, at least the way I look at it, is you hear so many stories about people struggling. And like when I was asked to talk about this, there was also this line that I was mentioned, that was told to me that we would like to hear about your struggles and your tribulations and everything. The thing is, the beauty about life is when you're actually passing through that phase, you never look at it as a humongous amount of struggle, or that you are actually going through the toughest phase of your life, because you just take it. You are just out there, with your chest all expanding, not to 56 inch, but normally, and just taking it on like head on. That's how you do it, and you don't really think about it that, oh my God, this is so much of struggle that I'm enduring right now. You just deal with it. So I had just started acting, and I had just moved from school. I did fairly well in my final boards. From school, I moved to university, but I took up studying English honors with the Jadavpur University, and acting. I decided to put acting to the back burner, because I wanted to study filmmaking, and I want to complete my academics, and I want to study filmmaking after that. But my father passed away at that crucial juncture when I was just in the second year, and it kind of turned out that the little bit of acting that I was doing was actually helping, because that was also earning a fair amount of money, which initially started off as like my pocket money, but it soon turned out that was actually turning. Although my mother has all her life she worked, I mean, she worked profusely across different mediums. She was a film archivist, she was a librarian, she was a film critic. How I was brought up, that's what I am, and I'm very proudly so, actually. I completely belong to my parentage, my grooming, the way I was brought up, and I'm so thankful to my parents too, because they have given me a childhood which wasn't opulent at all. It was spent in I wouldn't say it was spent in grief or spent in a lot of struggle, a lot of financial struggle. No, but it was never opulent. It was never like that I could just want anything and I would have it. Absolutely not. I was always taught that that's not the way it is done. You need, as a kid, you also need to understand your parents' struggle, and there are a lot of people in the world who do not get everything that they would like to have. So understand their struggle, be on the same platform with them, and even when you get something expensive, spare a thought for them. That's how I was brought up, and I'm really thankful to my, Roberto Benigni, the famous Italian actor and filmmaker. He once, while accepting his Academy Award for Life is Beautiful, he mentioned his parents, and he said that, I wish to thank my parents for the most beautiful gift of my life, and that is poverty. That's what he said. I don't know whether this story is going to inspire you or not, and I'm going to round up within the next 5 or 10 minutes by completing this arc. And that is, so I really don't know whether this is smart or whether this is going to inspire you, but this is all that I have to share. So I have always been, the more and more acclaim I've got as an actor, the more and more position that I've got as an actor, initially from television, later on through films, the more and more sort of in denial I have been of that particular role. I mean, most of my close friends in the industry also know that by now, and they kind of pull my leg on that as well, because remember, I always wanted to make films. I wanted to study films. I wanted to, come into the world of films through a certain amount of academics, which I could never do because I had to start working when I was 20. So by the time I was 22, I was owning a car, and I was fending for myself, and also helping my mom run the family, which is a great feat for any boy or girl, for that matter, for anybody. But I was always constantly, in my head, it was, no, but this is not the end, there is something more to achieve. This is not the end, there's something more to achieve. And I didn't really know what was more to achieve. That's how it went on till the time I was about 25, 26. And TV had given me enough popularity. I had fun, in all sorts, all kinds. And but then this very feeling of not being satiated, not being happy with what I've achieved, not getting complacent, it kept burning like a little. It kept having a slow burn, like an ember inside me. And this feeling of not being complacent is not just about I haven't earned enough money, or I haven't bought the best car, or my ideal car, or haven't really ended up buying the house that I would like to. No, it wasn't about that. I always kept feeling that creatively I need to explore myself more. It's all right, I'm acting, people are liking it, I'm doing this television series, that TV series, that telefilm, a film now and then. But then what next? What is there? I mean, is this it? Is this what I'm going to keep doing for the next, 35 years of my life? Or there's more to it? So this very feeling led me to first to quit TV, led me to quit TV. I quit TV because I realized I was being part of a factory which churns out something which is watched by millions of people, but forgotten the very next second. There is nothing for posterity here. So that didn't interest me because I have grown up with different ideas of cinema and literature. So I quit TV, and my earnings came down to less than 50% within a month straight. I wasn't unhappy about it. And then eventually I decided to take a break from my work, and actually not surprising is an understatement, probably sweeping everybody off their feet, and also probably myself, I went ahead and applied for a scholarship to study films in the UK. And I chose the right scholarship. I chose the right universities and organizations, and it just clicked. When I first told my friends and my then girlfriend that, okay, I'm actually I'm planning to leave for about 1.5 years. She was like, what, sorry, come again? Say that again? Like, yeah, I'm gonna leave for 1.5 years. I said, where? Why? What? I don't understand. Most of the people were like this, I remember. All my colleagues were also like this. And I said, yeah, I want to go and study films. I said, you're 27 plus. I mean, people, in our country, people kind of finish with their school by now. I said, yeah, but not in Europe, not in America. People work and then go back to school, then go back to study. That's what I'm going to do. And she said, yeah, but what about work here? I said, yeah, work will happen. I'm not satisfied with the kind of work I'm doing here. I want to change. I want to explore the world. And it was easier said than done because I really had to get that scholarship, because the tuition fees of that course was humongous, was really huge, which obviously we couldn't afford. So I really needed that scholarship. Thanks to Charles Wallace India Trust, I got through that scholarship. I started doing masters and I quit. So that kept eating me up. So I think it's not just about the degree, it's also about what I expected from myself. I wasn't being able to achieve that. I wasn't being able to touch that. So now, I personally feel that in the last 8 or 9 years, when I've been doing so many films as an actor, I've directed 4 films as a director, the last of them being Sonar Pahar, and about to start on the next one. Quite a few Hindi films as well, and now we have a fully functional production company where we produce a lot of content for all the national portals, internet, as well as films. And all these young kids that I see working in my office, and I love them and I love looking at them, and it just takes me back to the times when I was their age. So, it is really about living life at that moment, but at the same time having a perspective on the future, but not thinking that, oh my God, I'm enduring so much struggle. No, I have always wanted to make films. That's what I've studied. That's what I'm most passionate about. That's what I do. I'm a content maker. I'm a movie maker. And when I say I'm a movie maker, I think that encompasses everything. So I have tried not to listen to the criticism, sometimes to the chagrin of people, sometimes to the dislike of a lot of very close people, but I really can't help it because that's my heart's calling. You understand your opposition party, what they're trying to say is wrong, but you do not go and, I can't tell about the present atmosphere in our country, unfortunately, but that is the democracy, sense of democracy I grew up with, that you debate, you be courteous to your opponents, you debate, you try and make them convinced. If they do not get convinced, fair enough, then I have to choose my own path, but please, no offense. I mean, we'll still, go and play golf someday. It's very, very important that you take a very objective, looking at your life and yourself from a roof about 3 blocks away. Because you look tiny there in the middle of so many people, so many cars, so many buses, so many rickshaws. So you actually understand your spot. Oh, actually it is not so important to look at yourself so heavily, like take yourself so heavily. No, because you're just a small little blob. Yeah, that blob will do, as that blob, I will do what I feel like, what my heart says. But it's also about striking a right balance between how much you're going to take yourself lightly and how much heaviness you're going to attach with yourself. So it's very important that you have a very objective view of yourself and do the right thing, be happy, approach people with love and care, and because that's really all that matters. Thank you very much once again for having me.